How do you create something that's different than everyone else? You do it differently than everyone else. Here at Copeland Creative, we specialize in telling captivating stories of wild people, wild things, and wild places. We don't just capture the story, we immerse ourselves in it. We are a diverse, multi-talented media house based in North Georgia, and if you have a story that needs told, we want to help you tell it.
There we are.
We're live?
We are live. Yes.
Nice.
All right. Okay. I named this podcast, since we're like pre-recording, or we're not started the actual podcast yet. I named this podcast because I thought it would be an interesting topic, and I'm thinking like you, Joe. Thinking like you in terms of when we name things, how do we name them to where they're not clickbaity, but they make somebody think. So essentially, the subject or the theme is what we do art.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to start.
That's not where we were going.
I thought we were talking about
That's not what I
stories.
thought. That's
We are.
not what I thought this was.
We are. We're going to get into all that. So
Oh,
does anybody have any like pre-podcast start talking stuff?
Do we
we could
talk
talk
about
about what
what-
we've been doing all week.
yeah, or do we
Yeah.
save that for the podcast?
Say that for the podcast.
This is the podcast.
No, we're not recording yet.
Oh, I thought he was.
First timer.
Yeah, I thought we were too.
We're on the live stream,
Oh,
but we're not like recording. Does that make sense?
Well, good thing I didn't want a liquid death.
They're downstairs, player.
I'll have to pee. I can't make it. Just being honest.
Should we talk about that on the podcast? About how you don't do well in public?
Sure. I'm not embarrassed about it.
Hey, I
public
have that,
knowledge.
I have that same
Clay, are
problem
you
sometimes.
watching the podcast?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never had that problem. It's never been an issue for me.
I can't pee by myself sometimes.
Oh, that's a health problem, then.
Yeah, I actually do need to go to the doctor.
Yeah, you really should.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Have you got it up on your dealio?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Do
cool.
we need to do anything more specific on the story, you think?
I don't think so. Our podcasts go off the rails anyway. What is does the title even really matter? Let's be honest.
No, I was saying
Just got to
about
get him here.
telling people we're live on the
Go for it.
Instagram
I'll
story.
give them like 2 more minutes.
Okay, I'll
It is
head on
hot
over
up
there.
here.
That's what I said.
It feels good next to this vent player.
I think it feels good. It's cold downstairs.
Clay strategically
It's
just puts himself
72
exact. He
downstairs.
I think
It's
I'm
cold.
convinced Clay comes in here with like an air temperature sensor and maps the whole place
what
out.
is your house? What is your house set to?
69.
nice.
Nice.
See, some people enter a room and they think, all right, where should I sit to best self-defend myself against a shooter? I say, where will I be most comfortable? And that's right. That's
Is
right.
there anything coming out?
Even if I die.
If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die comfortable.
There's nothing even coming out.
Yeah, there is. You can feel it. It's a weak stream because
Very poor
Chupacabra
airflow.
AC didn't do it. But
Well,
Yeah, I could do it, but
That
it's
was
going to cost too much.
Just waiting on the Instagram live. Travis is on. What's up, Travis? Mort is on. What's up, Mort?
more
Charlie's
diehard.
on. What's up?
Who?
Charlie, 22B.
Gotcha.
We are live on YouTube. I'm live on Instagram right now to tell you guys that we're live on YouTube. So if y'all want to hang out there, that's where we're gonna be. Caleb, any words?
No. Nothing.
Joe,
0.
Clay.
We're figuring out how to shoot log.
I'm still looking up some S-Log stuff.
We have been experimenting with S-Log just today, actually, only today.
And by
we've shot-
we, he means Joe and I.
Yeah.
yeah,
A-team.
According to
Mort
Clients.
Ed, you are the A team,
Yeah.
but Ryer and I weren't there shooting, so doesn't have anything to compare to.
But he's seen you shoot, so.
Also,
He hasn't.
Also,
seen,
the A team.
No.
Also, the A team had an entire person at home who edited an entire video. So I don't know how he's calling you guys the A team when I edited that whole video.
Well,
You can't make a good edit if your footage wasn't good.
Yeah, well, you can't make a good edit if you're not editing
You
it.
can't make an edit or a shoot if somebody didn't get you there in the first place. Okay,
Yes,
we're
it's
really
good,
gonna
it's a
get.
good thing
fair.
I went.
That's
We're
Mr.
gonna be-
C-Level says, what's up, Caleb?
What's up? Oh, that's Jason,
What's up?
Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get
know
that's
Jason.
probably what the sea level is, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Let me see his Instagram handle. Quit.
You know what we have?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that? Hold on.
Well, I don't know. It's going to. Oh.
Yes, that's Jason's. I was about to say I haven't seen it in forever.
We got to get on like the black and white profile picture trend. That's like a thing now.
That would never.
I've had this. I think I've had the same profile picture since Caleb took that of
seen it
me.
in color.
Oh, all right, Jamie Johnson.
I wish I was Jamie Johnson. God.
He said, "Yes, it's me."
Yes. Okay. I thought it was.
That's what somebody who's trying to be you would say.
I
How do we
haven't
know?
seen your Instagram handle in a while, and it's hard to remember. It's hard for me to remember people's names first of all, but then their name and their Instagram handle. It's pretty impressive, even if I do say so myself.
Who's Jason Cleveland?
He's the man. Don't worry about who Jason Cleveland is.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't matter. All you need to know is that he exists.
Okay.
What he does, you don't need to know about that.
It's mystical. It's mystical. It really is.
We are live on YouTube. Hey, Rob, I just what y'all want from Taco Bell? What do you want from Taco Bell?
I'll take a number 2 soft, no lettuce with a steak quesadilla, please.
Leave the quesadilla.
What?
Leave the wrap. It's off your diet.
Oh, yeah, true.
I just want a crunch wrap. Those things are delicious.
They are good.
I love a crunch wrap.
No sour cream though.
You know, and those the steak quesadillas, also delicious. I take one of them. Hey, I just name dropped you on a video, Rob, by the way.
He did.
Yeah, I did.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way, but it was a funny way. Remember how he showed up to the class with his entire iMac in the trunk of his car?
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that. So I wish I had a picture of him sitting on the floor with his iMac.
I do too.
I still wish I had a picture of that. Legendary. That actually inspired me to bring that iMac up to Virginia. The one time
You're really
I did it.
glad that you did that too.
That was a good decision.
Yeah.
That was a real good decision. Mr. C-Level says, the U.S. man of mystery. Heathco.
Oh, what's up, Heathco?
All right. We are live on YouTube, so if y'all want to keep hanging out, hop on over there. Rob says, got to bring the firepower. It's true. There's a lot of, I sometimes wish that I could just bring an entire Mac desktop with me.
One of these days, Ryder. One of these days.
Well, I tried to lobby for us putting in a mount for one in the trailer, but you didn't want to do that.
You lobby for a lot of things that cost you no money and me a lot of money.
Facts.
My entire presence here does nothing but cost you money, but
True.
you signed up for that.
Yeah.
You asked me if that would
I
be a
signed
good
up
deal.
for the
Caleb
initial
was like,
cost. The initial cost.
Caleb said, "Hey, want to come work for me where I pay you money to do things?" And now he pays me money to do things, and he's like, all you do is cost me money." I don't know. I don't know what to do. Anyways, we're on YouTube, so come hang out with us there. Come hang out with us there.
Yeah, talking's hard.
It is. Yeah, too much.
All right, ready, set, go.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Mike'sArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit Mike'sArchery.com and get your gear now.
Right here, right here, right here, right here. Yeah. You want it? Yeah. What's up? Episode 178. We are talking about is what we do art today. But before we get into that, the title may throw you off because we're going to go in a couple different directions, but it's clickbait, so you're welcome. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but I think what we're going to talk about first is, first of all, as you can see, Joe's here.
Hello.
Hey, Joe's finally back. He finally just graced us with his presence again.
I did.
So we have been working on, I was going to ask Ryan, but I'm going to ask Clay instead so we can get a concise answer. Clay, what have we been doing this week?
We have finally decided to do what we've been wanting to do, and that is stock the Redneck Tech YouTube channel with a bunch of helpful things that we have covered on the podcast, but are easily explained and maybe more in depth in video form.
Yeah, some visual elements.
Yeah.
Joe, how many videos have we done, Joe?
I think we're on 10 right now. I
10?
think we shot our 10th just now.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Just that client's paying for this. I mean, we'd made some money this week.
It's all a long game.
So Ryer has done 2. Cumulatively, Ryer's videos have taken longer, but
I've filmed for a total of 2 hours.
Longer.
and edited.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, I've been there for all of it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I've
Yeah.
been there for all
The
of it.
last one was supposed to be simple, easy, like 5-minute video. We filmed more the last one than we did yesterday.
That's because honestly, I confused myself a little bit.
You did.
What happens is I'll be like, all right, we're explaining this thing. And then I realize that there's 4 other things that I could explain about that thing. And then I don't know how to lump all that in. And then my brain is ahead of my mouth. And then it's a lot. But, I mean, I think they'll be useful to people.
They are.
I think they'll all be useful to people. We're trying to do like a mix of some more, I've been doing some more technical tutorial type content. Do we want to tell people, I mean, what kind of stuff we
I
did?
think we can tell what's coming, but we're not releasing all these at once. So if you were waiting for one, sorry, you're just going to have to wait because we're all in the business of banking content around here. We can't be putting out 10 videos a week. I
No.
wish we could. You start paying our salaries and we'll do that. We'll just make Redneck Tech videos all day, every day.
It's gonna be very expensive.
You
Yeah,
can
I'm
miss
probably
me
good
with
on that.
Yeah, you can miss me on that.
I wouldn't want to do it all day, every day.
For the right amount of money, I would.
It's not challenging enough.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'm being a little
That's a
bit
good point.
challenged.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Well, I'm challenged listening to Ryer in the other room trying to get through a sentence.
So the two that I've done, we'll just go down. We'll just go down the line.
Today, Junior.
All
He's
right,
like, Joe, you're not producing it. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to produce.
You lost me when you talked about folder structures and naming conventions.
So the 2 that I did is I did a FX6 review, but instead of it being like the regular review that you get all over YouTube, it's specifically designed for people in the outdoor hunting space. And then I did a walkthrough of how to dump footage on location and folder structures. Caleb, what have you talked about so far?
I talked about getting into the outdoor industry. I did a standalone video of that, and then we're doing a series called In My Opinion, and I did an In My Opinion piece of why GoPros are trash.
I did the junk 24 to 240, but versatile lens. And
Why we're forced to use the 24 to 240?
yeah, it sucks, but it's
So
nice
it was
sometimes.
a review,
It
but an
doesn't-
honest one.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck.
It's not the best lens
It's not
in
that
terms
sharp.
of great sharp footage,
But it is versatile.
but for hunting, it's a great lens.
And then I did the mirrorless versus cinema camera debate, and that could have been a 2-minute video because it's obvious why you should use cinema camera.
Yeah.
And then Clay did the
It's
well,
not-
me and Clay
it's
filmed
not
the rest.
obvious to everybody, though.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
true.
problem.
That is
That's
true.
the sad part.
And see, the thing is, we had to have you do that. Either you or Clay had to do that because I think both Caleb and I started our
We've
careers
been in-
with large cameras.
Well, and I've been in that debate before, and I've ran both, and it's not even
It's
close.
not even close.
No, it's not.
But, anyways, you did that. How long did it take you then? If you said it should have been 2 minutes, how long was it?
Oh,
Should've
I
been
think
2 seconds. Use this. Don't use
yeah,
this.
right. I think it ended up being I don't know around 5 minutes or something.
Okay.
And then the 24 to 240 is pretty self-explanatory. So it was like
Yeah.
3.5 minutes, but takes a while to take all the pools from the server and all that. So
And then I did how to shoot better drone footage, the Holy Trinity of
Hebrew.
The Hebrew Trinity. The Hebrew Trinity.
We did trace down where that came. So,
Yes. So it's called.
so hold on. Let me. I just want to say what happened. So, Clay finished up this video. I was not involved in filming or editing it, but I walked in the office. He was finished filming it, and he was going next door to film another one. I was like, okay, I'll just want to watch it, see what's up. So I start watching it, and he goes, "I'm going to start talking about the Hebrew Trinity," and I go, I get what he's going for. Maybe he just slipped up that one time, and then he said it like twice more. And I go over to where he is, and I said, "Clay, what is a Hebrew Trinity?" And he goes, "I don't know, like, the big 3, the three. I said, like the Holy Trinity? He's like, yeah, it's the Hebrew Trinity. I said, I don't think that it's called that. I Googled it. There's not such a thing as a Hebrew Trinity. He goes, I don't know. I always thought it was called the Hebrew Trinity. I said, no, it's called the Holy Trinity, Clay, like from church. So that's how you know that Clay's never been to church.
Well, the problem.
And then I was like, and then we're trying to figure out, like, where the heck did he come up with it? Was it just like a subconscious association? You know, he was like, Holy Hebrew, same thing. No, where did it come from, Clay?
I watch a lot of Jared Polin, like Fro Knows Photo on YouTube, and he's Jewish. So as a joke, he calls it the Hebrew Trinity, but that's where I've always heard it. So that's what I thought it was.
And I thought he was being funny, and I just let it ride.
Yeah.
So I did.
And you were just like, hey, sounds good to me.
I did that video. I did the drone video. I did that video. I also did how to set up a camera arm. I did a what's in the whitetail backpack for filming, and then how to silently ratchet your ratchet strap for your camera arm so you don't get yelled at. So we've got
Pro tip, if you film for Lee, he'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is nice that, like, Joe and I are kind of doing the geary-ish type videos. Ryer's specializing in the technical ones because, let's be honest, no one else really wants to do them anyways. And if we don't do them how Ryer would have done it, he's just going to argue with us anyways. And then Caleb gets to do the business type ones. So
The boring stuff.
and the very one-sided, opinionated type ones he gets to do as well.
Good, because I'm dropping some. We're taking gloves off in this series, guys. That's the plan. Okay, so now that
We're not really taking the gloves off.
no,
Yeah, we're not really taking the
we've
gloves
got the glove part way on our hands.
off. No, the gloves
We've got
still fully
boxing
on.
gloves on, but we have the
Okay.
little metal things on our knuckles underneath.
So
We're hitting bags.
So yeah, we're hitting bags.
Bare knuckle bag boxing.
So now that we have kind of told you what we've been doing this week, we wanted to talk about, so essentially the idea for this podcast is one I wrote down a while back. And essentially the question, I always like to do things in question form. And that kind of like, the question essentially was, how did we get here, like collectively, like how did we get here
Are you talking like from a company standpoint or
For-
individually?
Because I drove.
in art? In art.
I thought we were talking about like how we ended up doing this as a full-time job.
Yes and no.
I'm already
How we got
confused.
here, what were our influences?
I've had a bunch of different ideas of what I thought we were doing today, and it sounds like none of them.
What were our influences to get here in art, and then personal worth in art. So everything is pointing back to essentially your style. What influences your style? I mean, you post inspiration stuff every day, things that inspire you. Like that's what I want to talk about is like where we get our inspiration, and then like when we want to talk about what we do as an art form. First of all, what is art in our own opinions, and each one of our opinions, and then is what we do art. And I think the answer to that question is it depends. Because there's something like what we did with a call, I feel like is art. But when we do a product video for Spy Point, that's not necessarily art. So I think art's different to everybody. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to is like not only is art different to everybody, especially all four of us that sit here, but how we get to that point of where we're happy with something and it fits our style, it fits our look, our eye, our emotions. What shaped that? Which we know Clay hasn't watched anything, so he's probably not going to have a lot to say on this podcast. But essentially, like, where did you get your inspiration? And it is fun. It's funny, but it's like we try and get him to watch stuff, and he just refuses.
I watch
Get the
things.
phone out, Clay.
I watch things.
Get the phone out.
I watch things. It's just not what y'all would watch.
I just can't understand it, Clay.
What do you watch?
He watches golf and fishing on YouTube. That's what he watches.
Jared Polin.
No,
And Kafaru pack reviews.
No, I watched the PGA Championship on TV.
Hold on. How many Kafaru pack reviews have you watched?
Probably all of them.
All of them. Every product on there that has a video, you've watched it.
Probably, yeah.
I don't even.
unless it was Aaron Snyder talking about like his struggle stick recurve, I'm not watching that. But anything else, yeah.
I don't even. I just ask Clay what pack I need. Hey, Clay, what pack do I need?
I'm to that point.
I'm the most geary guy that can't afford any of it.
you won't buy any of it. You won't buy it. I think he's just like kind of, you know how some people go looking at houses that they want to buy, knowing full well they can't buy it.
Oh, that's
But, like,
definitely me.
It gets them off to like see the potential, and they like imagine themselves in it, and that's like exciting for them.
God, I would look so cool with that on my back.
Yeah, that's Clay with all the gear. He's like, oh man, I do this, 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 and this, and then you look in his case, and he's got like 3 zip ties and 1 battery.
I got all this backpacking stuff, like to like do the Appalachian Trail and do backpacking hunts, and then finally got the chance to do one with Trujillo, and I was like, yeah, Joe, you're going. I don't want to do it.
This is not how I had it in my head.
Oh, so like I actually have to do
Oh,
it.
dude, who was I? I was talking to somebody about that. I don't remember where I was. It's been a couple months, and somebody's, yeah, man, those backpacking hunts, man, those backcountry hiking hunts, man, they seem legit. I'm like, they are the first time. Walking in about a mile, and you're like, this crap's for the birds.
Yeah.
Where's camp at?
Yeah.
I love them.
What time's
Well,
lunch?
especially going like where we go in Utah, where you go to, one of the greatest elk hunts in the country, and you've got a queen size bed to yourself and hot water. and
Where'd you get a queen size bed?
I got when Dudley stayed,
I have had a queen size
yeah,
bed there
if
before.
you in the single rooms they have a queen, and when I went with Dudley, or
I've
with
only had
Brock,
that one
yeah.
time out of the
I
times. I've
have
been-
one time I've gotten a double room, and that was when you and I were there, and it was the room above.
I've
where-
never had
yeah.
to stay in the cameraman room.
Yeah,
God, I always get the cameraman
yeah,
room,
it sucks.
and I hate it because, for whatever reason, everybody's got to be up late, and it's so echoey. It's right off the main cavern, basically,
Cavern.
and it's echoey as
yeah.
crap, and everybody stays up really late. There's always some like
Should
2 or
fit
3
right in.
jack wagons freaking just
Should we,
that
should
front
we write a
room.
Yelp review?
And then finally you get to freaking sleep. And at like 3 or 2 a.m.,
Jocko's
there's-
up, waking everybody up.
There's somebody walking around, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it must already be time. I look at my watch. You got 2 hours till I got to be up. Get out of here. Go to bed.
I'm telling you, man, if for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, there's a place in Utah that we filmed a bunch of hunts that's incredible, but there's some drawbacks to it as well. But if you like elk, it's the place to go. Joe Hunt got to go there yet, has he? Oh, he'll never get to go because Lee and Tiff aren't going back.
Oh.
Well, I'm pretty young yet. I wouldn't say never.
Well, you can probably afford it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
Trust me.
He's working at the wrong
We're
place.
good at that.
Maybe if he goes with old T. Drake.
Yeah.
'Cause he
Or
always
if,
goes.
if Brock, because I
I
think
don't know
Brock's
if-
still going
I
back.
don't know if you can keep up with T. Drake.
He
do
is
that.
doing that.
Don't
Did you
do
see he's summiting some giant freaking mountain for
Is he?
charity? Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Mm.
Cool.
See, I would
Does he
rather.
need us to document it?
Ooh.
Always thinking. Clay's always thinking. All right, so let's get into this. So I think the first question we all have to answer, and I'm gonna start with Ryer, is what is art to you? Like, if you had to explain to someone like what art is or what art means to you. And I know this is getting deep, but at the same time, like, I think it's important to get everybody's perspective on it before we kind of start talking about, like, personally, what is art to us?
I think art is something that an individual or a group of people have done creatively that expresses something.
It's got to be a group of people. It can't be an individual.
Well, it can be an individual. But
Okay.
I'm saying, like, some things take multiple people. And
Yeah.
It's still art. Just because it took 4 people to do it doesn't mean it's not a piece of art.
yeah, for sure.
I think it's something that somebody does that's creative, that's unique to them, and that is an expression of something that's important to them or something inside of them. And I don't think I don't have a specific like, oh, there's only certain this is a medium of art and that isn't a medium of art. I think that almost anything can be art in some way. I think there's a lot of intent behind what art is. So when we're in Hawaii, we went to a place, a butcher shop, and we went and saw this guy, Bob the Butcher, and he's a butcher. But I've never seen somebody butcher an animal as cleanly, as efficiently, and as skillfully as he did. And that was kind of art in and of itself.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you might say that there's certain pitchers in the MLB who just have a certain way.
Don't
of,
steal mine. Don't steal mine.
Who have a way
Don't steal mine.
of doing that thing,
Douchebag.
and you might call that art.
Or
and then
one
obviously
who can bunt well.
Oh, God.
That's
why,
not art.
That's why I put Clay last.
that's not art.
There's an art to bunting.
Thank
though.
you.
There
Thank
is.
you.
I think that
Not
art
to
can
ride
just be
bikes, though.
something that somebody does creatively, something that they do out of a passion for doing it.
God dang it. You're literally
And
so pissed off not going first now.
All right, well, that's going
and
to be the end of the
something-
podcast.
and something that expresses
Yeah.
themselves.
Okay. Can I go now before you steal all of mine? Thank you. All right. So essentially, I was going to simplify it a little bit. Essentially, anything that's created with passion that will move someone to a good, to a bad, or emotion. Something that simple.
You just took Joe's.
Does it good. But like what you said about pictures, like I wasn't even thinking about it as pictures, which I think that, you know, that can be art. But to me, if I was thinking about an art form that's not like a painting or a movie or something like that, which Joe's going to love this, I would rather watch, more than anything, I could watch 10 hours of middle infielder highlights of guys that absolutely know how to get to a ball, who know how to get rid of it, who know where runners are, and it's effortless. And I've never been able to do that, and I'm left-handed, so I'm backwards to be able to do it anyway. But to me, that is art, and that's something that it's because you can tell they have passion for what they're doing. It's visually appealing, and it moves me. Like that's like that because I understand what it took to do that.
And also, I think in some of those things, like I think there is just art that doesn't necessarily move other people, but maybe it moves the person creating it. I mean, there's people who paint and they're really bad at painting, but their paintings are still art because they made it, they worked on it, it came from them, and it was something that was expressive to them when they were doing it. But then you also have art that when that person does it, it's like, oh, that person's got something special inside of them, right? You're talking about your sports legends. You're talking about your music legends. You're talking about your all the visual artists and the directors and the actors and all these people who do stuff that obviously a lot of other people do, but they do it in such a way that you're like that they're the only person who can do it that way. And there's just something about it that's special. And it's it was like intrinsic to them. And I think that can also make something art.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like nobody will ever be the person, the influencer, swing the bat like Ken Griffey Jr. No one will ever do what Barry Bonds did. Like I don't care if he took steroids or not. You still got to hit the ball. Like that's art, you know. And no, you know, which I also differentiate. And since we're on the baseball thing, is like I think what some of these power pitchers do that throw 99, 100 miles an hour is skillful, but it's overpowering. To me, it's not like a Greg Maddux. And that to me, what Greg Maddux did was art, where he could move the ball. He could essentially make you feel really stupid and never break 90 miles an hour. To me, that is an art form. That the passion, the time, the effort, the skill, the God-given ability, I think all those things wrap up into art.
There's something special about it that's different.
Yeah, 100%.
Like somebody else can't just go do that.
Yeah, no, that's got that, and I think that probably would be put into art too. Is like there's something there that can't be replicated. That the only reason that happens is God gave them the ability to do that. Like I've told people that for years when I used to give like pitching and hitting lessons. It's like, you know, how little Johnny do? Is like, well, little Johnny might need to play in the band. Well, no, you know, he might need to get in the band because I just don't. I mean, he might make the high school squad his senior year, but he's not going to get a lot of playing time, like that kind of thing. But it's like, I don't care, which debate me all you want. You know, I've played baseball into college, and I've seen guys that are playing in the bigs, and I've seen all those things, and they have something. I don't care how hard you work. You can work to the end of time, you can be the hardest work in the world. But if you don't have that little something that God gave you, you ain't gonna make it. Like there's something that the guys that are playing at that level have that not everybody has. I can learn how to play guitar. I'll never be Jimi Hendrix. That's how I tell people. It's like I can learn how to play it, but Jimi Hendrix has something that I just ain't got. Same thing. Like I can hit the ball, but I'll never be King Griffey Jr. or Barry Bonds. There's something special there.
And maybe
I think that's art.
that's something that is kind of a through line.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you look at something that feels like art or something that is artistic, there's something unique about it that doesn't feel like it's mass produced or able to be done by everybody. Even if that thing is, like I said, somebody kind of just painting out of enjoyment. Well, what they made is not something that somebody else might have been able to make.
Yeah, like I've
Right.
seen my kids bring me watercolor paintings from school, and they're real proud of them. But love them. But stick with your day job, baby.
But it is art. It is art to them, so that is also important.
Well,
but
it's like Ryer said. I'm gonna take credit for something he said today, but
you do that a lot.
but Caleb,
You got a notebook somewhere you be keeping my quotes?
no, bro, I'm giving credit to the author. I'm citing my source.
Yeah.
May not be MLA or ASA format, but I'm citing my source.
God, I haven't heard those
Whoa.
words in a long time. I don't want to ever hear them
like,
again.
you always say you can
I'm
teach
good.
a monkey to run a camera, but that monkey that you taught to run camera can't go out and film the call or film a documentary. Like, they can get their settings right, but there's something more to telling a story than just
Yeah,
that.
they can document it.
Exactly.
There's which we've talked about 100 times. There's a difference between a cameraman and a producer, and then I think there's another delineation from a producer to a filmmaker. I guess would be a good
Right.
good determinant. You're a good qualifier. But like I think now that we've talked it through, I think that is what defines art. It's kind of what you said. Is there's something there that can't be replicated. There's a little something special that no matter how hard you work, you might not be able to do it. The Vincent van Gogh and that type of thing, the Mark Twain,
Carringtons.
Right.
yeah, that type of thing. There's a God-given ability there that just it's special just because.
And a lot of times that thing is unexplainable.
100%.
And people spend hours and careers trying to figure out what it was and that made that person special,
trying to
made their
replicate it.
work special, and figure out why is it like that. And usually at the end of the day, you can talk about all this stuff and study it for hours and hours and hours, but you get to a point you're like, well, that they just had something special. Their brain just
Yeah.
did something different. Their body was just made a little bit different.
Or they'll try and replicate it, and you put the two and two together. You're like, no,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
not feeling it.
Yeah.
But they look virtually identical, but this one's got a little something that this one don't got. It's got that touch of greatness that can't be replicated. That's I think, in my opinion, you might not agree, is a God-given ability that not everybody has. And I think everybody, I don't know about everybody, most people have a God-given ability, whether they figured out what that is or not. I think, the only way you find that out is to try as many things as you can until you find out what that thing is that you are really good at. Because, which I've said this before, I'm good at like 3 things and I suck at everything else. So I think that's important, and which I also am one of those guys that's like, what was that?
True.
Nice. So, but I think I also am one of those people that doesn't believe in, which I think people like this are great, jack of all trades, but I don't want to be that guy. I want to be really good at certain things, and the things I'm not good at, I want
He doesn't
want
to be the jack of all trades. He wants to be the Caleb of one trade.
Gosh. So,
So what do you define as art?
I think it's got to evoke some kind of emotion. Like you said, middle infielders.
It's going to make you feel some type of way.
Yeah, I guess it's not art to everybody, like middle infield stuff. Like somebody like me played middle infield, it is to me. But you can have art in anything. You can have art in carpentry. There's some
100%.
finished carpentry that it's art.
Oh, yeah.
And not everybody, has the patience to finish carpentry or the ability to do so. And I think that's what it is. And that evokes emotion to some people. And I think there's a bunch of different types of art.
Joe's walking around looking at finishing carpet and be like,
Oh, I do.
oh, man.
I do. And I suck at it. I do.
I just look at it and see patience that I never will have.
Yeah. But like it's in anything. Like what I used to do with ductwork and stuff. There's things of ductwork that's a work of art.
Yeah.
That some people are talented enough to do it, and some people are just get it in and cover it up with drywall.
One of the guy that welded for my dad back when he was running his construction company. His name was Tony Wiley, and my dad always used to say, he can weld everything but two things: crack of dawn and a broken heart. Anything else, he can weld it.
What was the first one?
Crack of dawn and a broken heart. You've never heard the crack of dawn? It's the crack of dawn.
Well, I've heard that, but I don't understand what that has to do with
Because
welding.
if something cracks, you can weld it.
You can weld it.
Oh, I got
Gosh,
you. I
Ryer.
understand.
So but like to me, my dad like revered him because my dad can weld good enough to hold two pieces of metal together, but not like that.
Right.
You know, somebody that can weld with that kind of skill and never had a day of formal education. Just he had a God-given ability.
Right.
And I know people like that, and just mechanically, like he could just look at something and understood how it worked.
Yeah,
And
that's
how to fix it and how to take it apart and how to put it back together. Like that is not something this guy got.
That's something my dad's got. Like
Yeah,
you
not
can't replicate some of that. Like you can look at something and tell you how it works and how to fix it. Can't replicate that. It's something in you that was given that you can't teach yourself.
And I think some of what separates the greats is that they make something that or do something that almost everybody, even those who are uninitiated to whatever that thing is, can look at and go, yeah, that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was watching the other day some Olympic like level diving. I don't really know that much about diving. And I was like, okay, I want to go watch like what wins somebody a gold at diving. So I watched some dives and you look at them, you're like, I don't know why that's the best one, but it's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you just can tell.
Well,
I don't know anything about diving, but I see that guy do that thing, and you're like, that's pretty ridiculous what he just did there.
I still think soccer's a communist sport, but my daughter plays soccer, and she's pretty good at it. But there's a little girl on her team named Harley, and she's playing, I think, what is it, 10U right now, U10 or whatever. So these girls are like, my daughter's 9. This little girl's actually younger than my daughter. I don't think she's even 9 yet. And to watch that girl run down the field, like I've never been able to run like that, nor will I ever be able to run like that. And she will just kick the ball out in front of somebody and let them take off and then just beat them every time. And it's like she has a God-given ability to absolutely smoke people. And ball handling skills and just the way that she moves and how like she's got her legs underneath her at 9 years old. And it's like, that is a freaking athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money people would give if you could buy that, you know, and it's like, that's an art form. To watch her run down the field and just smoke little girls is really, really satisfying to watch.
It's fun to watch somebody who's really good at doing what they do,
Oh
do
my
what they
gosh,
do.
Man, it really is.
At any level.
Especially when you're watching them beat up on people that aren't good at what they do.
Yeah, well,
Or you're watching them beat people who are good at what they do. They're just not that good.
or
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
better, people that think they know what they're doing and they still get smoked.
Yeah.
Well, that's why people like watching
You
Usain Bolt. You
Yeah.
just know he's going to win. And then if somebody else beats him, you had fun because you're like, holy crap, that dude beat Usain Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Has anybody beat Usain Bolt?
Not yet.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Phelps swimming. It's like just, I mean, and certain writers, certain actors, certain things. I mean, we could go on and on forever, like different art forms that I don't think you can't put art in a box. It's not the Mona Lisa. It's not films. It's not just these couple things. I think that's why, you know, when I kind of pose the question to myself is like, what we do art? I think it depends. I think it's one of those things to where I don't think we can answer that question as much as the viewer could answer that question. I think what we did with the call qualifies as art. I think some of the pieces we put together, some of the creativity and the thought process that we put into things like Blue Stem, like some of the things we've done with Lee and Tiffany, like some of the
Saddles
things
versus tree stands.
Yeah, that one. That's art form. That's art for sure. Which we need to put that out, by the way.
Yeah.
There's some things that we've done that qualify, but I think that now I think the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit is, now that we've kind of determined what art is and all the different things that we consider forms of art, like, and we've talked about it a little bit before, but I think more in recent days, it's kind of changed for me a little bit. Like, what, and maybe I should talk about like what I'm thinking about first, but like I've started to look different places for inspiration. Like it used to be films and series, and that's really all the inspiration I did, and then social media. But I think recently it's been in talking to people and understanding what they're getting from something and listening to people that are smarter than I am, and then taking what they say and trying building on it, and taking their opinion on things and trying to build on it. I've started listening to a lot of podcasts, and then recently I've listened to several books, and hearing good writing, hearing good story characters, story arcs, how people flash back, how they develop a scene in written form versus visually. I just started listening to the newest Jack Carr book, and how he sets the scene of, like, he doesn't just say, we're in Russia. He talks about the landscape and the weather and the people and what they look like and how they feel and the time of day, the temperature. And he sucks you in. And it's like, okay, he told me that in this book. All right, now how do I translate those emotions and those feelings and those scenes into what we're trying to do? And I think we did a pretty good job on the call. There's some things that I think which I think is another podcast that I think we should do, is like, what would we do differently? Which we can do later. But like, it makes me think about, like, okay, if the call was good, which I think it was, and I think people enjoyed it, how could we have made it better? And then what were the shortfalls that we had, and why did we have those? I just catch myself constantly asking myself the why. And then if I don't know the answer, try and find that answer. So lately, like, I've started watching another Aaron Sorkin, because everybody knows I love the newsroom, but started watching earlier Aaron Sorkin, which is The West Wing. I don't like it as much. I don't love the characters as much, but I've kept watching it because I told you I was going to stop watching it. I've intentionally kept watching it to try and figure out why I don't love the characters as much. And I think I've determined they're just not as good of actors. That's the only thing I can figure out, because the writing's just as good. It's just as fast. It's just as high-paced. It's just as dramatic. There's just as many characters. And it's, in terms of like what they're doing is very high stakes. But I think there's a couple of great actors on there, but there's a couple that are like, kind of lackluster. And I think that's the only reason, but, in terms of writing, it's wonderful. But it's like, I absolutely adore the newsroom. It's like, okay, well, Aaron wrote this too. Why don't I just love this? And I think it's got to do with the acting. The acting's just not as good. The characters aren't as deep. The characters aren't as, intriguing to me. And I think that's got a lot to do with it. But that was my why. That was the why question I just kept going back to. It's like, okay, I love this. I don't love this. Why? And then, okay, now that I know the why, okay, how would I have done it better? If I think that I don't love it because of this, how would I have done it better? With different characters, it's, how do we change the writing a little way to develop that acting better? Do we get a different director that sucks more out of your actors, or I don't know. But those are the questions that I ask myself all the time. I was like, why? Why this? Why that? Why did we choose, the shot that everybody loves, that kept coming back and people kept talking about on the call, is the one where he's standing at the sink. We used those, we used that one natural light, and we had Clay out there pouring down rain, and everybody loved that shot. And it's like, oh, why does everybody love that shot? Well, it tells us a lot about what's going on, and it tells the viewer a lot. Okay, everybody loved it. How could we have made it better? How could we have made it hit even harder? One of the first things I thought about was, Could we have done a shot like from the sink looking up? You know, could we have done something to where like water is literally dripping on the lens looking up? Like, what would that have added anything? Could we have done it and just seen? You know, I'm like looking like, how could we have dug deeper? How could we have dug deeper? How could we have dug deeper? Because now like we've got 2 or 3 more ideas we want to do, and we're trying to figure out which one we want to do next. And I want it to crush, you know, because now we did the call, it's got to be better. And the next one's got to be better than that. The next one's got to be better than that. And maybe they're not better. Maybe they missed the mark. But if they do, it's our fault. So like that's kind of what I keep asking myself is like, okay, how do we continue to push the issue? And like the last podcast, how do we tell better stories? And I think it comes from asking yourself hard questions and then where you get your inspiration. And I've also tried, like I said, I've tried to change where I get that inspiration and where I get that that feedback to myself. Like, okay, you know, you're getting complacent in this area. Why are you getting complacent? How do you get out of that? Which I talked to Joe about, you know, some things I wanted to do company-wise, which I've talked to you all about 100 times, but I haven't got to talk to Joe about it because he's not here all the time. Like, how do we level up? What do we do differently? How do we change what we're doing? How do we do it better? And I think that's part of, you know, I guess my unique trait is I'm just never, ever, ever content, which can be a great thing. It can be a terrible thing if you're my wife. So I think that might be, you know, a God-given ability I have because I can't turn it off. And the why question, I can't ever turn the why question off. Like I just always want to ask that question, why? So now that I've rambled for 10 minutes, you know, what is some stuff that you've done recently or watched recently or listened to recently that's kind of got your gears turning a little bit? Is there anything?
Like generally what I do to find inspiration?
Mm-hmm.
I would say I get my inspiration from kind of a lot of things. I like to try to gather inspiration from as many mediums as possible because I think that it's important as a creative to be able to integrate things from everywhere. There's a little something that you can pick up from, you know, a painting. There's a little something you could pick up from photography. There's a little something you could pick up from a movie or a TV series. There's a little something you could pick up from a book or a short story or a investigative journalism article or a speaker or a person or somebody doing something. I think that it's important not to be one-dimensional in where you get your inspiration, because I think that a lot of creativity is the fusion of all of the influences that you have in your brain. And I think that if you're just looking at the same stuff all the time, listening to the same stuff all the time, going to the same places all the time, hanging out with the same people all the time, eventually you stop exposing yourself to new and novel experiences and sights and sounds and ideas. And that's, I think, when your creativity shuts off. I think that in order to continue to be creative, you have to continually infuse your brain with new stuff. And I'm just a person who likes variety, so I just want to go find all that new stuff. I mean,
I didn't used to like variety. I do now.
I think it's important, and I try to be a little bit more intentional about finding those things. You know, I try to. That's why I do the daily inspiration, and in fact, it's been kind of encouraging. I've had a lot of people tell me that they like it, which is cool. The reason I originally did it is because I was fed up with being on Instagram and seeing a bunch of posts and being like, well, that's stupid. I hate that. And being negative about what I'm seeing on Instagram and going, well, I'm choosing to be on Instagram. So how can I be more intentional about using Instagram in a way that feeds me creatively and doesn't cause negativity? And for me, that was trying to find cool stuff on there. A lot of that's photography, and that's just simply because that's what is easy to find on Instagram. lately there's been a lot of like visual artists in the like physical mediums, painters and sculptors, and people are making works of art like that that I've been able to see, and that inspires me because it's a whole different realm that I don't ever operate in. Obviously, like music and stuff like that, I always try to find new artists and new songs and new genres and new stuff, because one, I just like to hear it. Two, like I'll hear songs and it'll spur an idea in my head of like, oh, how could I use something like that in an edit? Even if I'll never do that edit. It makes me think about something, makes me feel something, and I just love music, so I like to hear all of it. And then obviously because we do video, I'm always looking at videos and films and stuff like that, trying to glean inspiration from them. And I think specifically speaking, what's been kind of getting my gears turned, and I've been watching Better Call Saul, which is...
you told me I should watch Breaking Bad.
It's like a spin-off prequel of Breaking Bad, which Breaking Bad is really good. Better Call Saul is really, really good. It's got such a unique visual style. Like they have shots in there, and Breaking Bad does, but Better Call Saul especially has shots in there that are just so unique. They're striking. And a lot of times you don't necessarily understand why they're striking, or why are they focused on this thing, right? Why are they showing this shot? What's about to happen here? And it's cool to see how they kind of dissect a scene in a different way or a unique way, or use those visual elements as ways to point out subtextual things inside of the story. The writing is really, really good, and the acting is phenomenal. It's a show that has really big stakes, but at the same time it has a lot of small stakes and a lot of subtlety. And the actors do just such a really good job of playing through kind of mundane situations and playing through regular human interactions and kind of processing all this stuff that's going on in such a way that it doesn't feel like they're overdoing it, right? They're not overreacting to something so that they can have this big, huge, dramatic moment, right? There's just these really tiny subtleties in a facial expression or a look or the way they move their bodies in that situation that gives you so much information. It's just really cool to see that being done. The character arcs are really good. So I think that's just a really cool show that I've been watching, because it's just been interesting to try to see how maybe I can glean some of that.
Yeah. See, I've been so frustrated lately because I can't, which I know you told me to watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and a lot of people have told me that. I just haven't done it. I go on and I'll flip on Netflix, or I'll flip on Amazon Prime, or I'll flip on anything, and I keep catching myself going back and wanting to watch something I've already watched, and not wanting to watch something new, because it's like I'll watch it and I'll read the description. I'm like,
You have like a fear of wasting your time on something
yeah,
that's bad.
I think that, and it's like I feel everything now way more than I used to is like the time investment. That's why I haven't watched Breaking Bad, is because it's like 5 or 8 seasons. It's like that's a gigantic time investment, you know. So instead, I've rewatched Game of Thrones like 5 times. I've rewatched Newsroom probably 15 times, because I know I love those things and I'll get something new out of them. But it's like, you know, but then every now and again there'll be something like, which I just recently watched, Parasite, which had some great twists in it. Hated it because I had to read freaking subtitles the whole time. But you know, I also I find myself not being able to find things, but I also I look at the time investment more than I ever have. But like every now and then something will come along, like what you just said with Better Call Saul and the new Batman and Mr. Robot, like that I'll watch and I'm like, this is something truly different than everything else. And then I'm like literally I still have it up right now. Like the behind the scenes is how they shot Batman and why they shot it the way they did. Because I love Christopher Nolan, but this Batman is shot better. I don't like the guy who plays Batman. I don't like Robert Pattinson near as good as Christian Bale. I think Christian Bale would have crushed this one more because I think Christian Bale's a better actor. But like that kind of stuff gets my rocks off now. It's like how like why was Mr. Robot? How did they do it so differently? How did they make me feel so uncomfortable just watching something as a viewer? How did they make me feel wet and dirty the whole time I watch Batman? And that's an art form. But like now I just feel like after watching Newsroom, after watching the Batman, after watching Mr. Robot, after watching so many of these just incredible pieces, it's like, all right, well, nothing else is going to live up to that now. And I just like, I don't know, I find myself watching less TV now than I ever have, but I love it. So it's weird. Like I love a great series.
I think the key to a lot of stuff for me is being okay with it not being good.
I can't.
And being okay with it not being what you wanted it to be. Like, I relate that to food a lot. And I think that you'll relate to this well because you are a person who does not eat something if you don't know that it's going to be good.
No.
Like, you basically eat the same stuff you've eaten because you know you like that stuff.
For the most part, yes.
And if it's in, like, a genre, like, if it's close to something you've eaten before, you're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. But you're not super adventurous with
Generally,
the
if
eating.
I can't pronounce it, I'm not going to eat it.
And personally,
Italians.
I used to be like that. I was like that until maybe I was, I don't know, 21, 22. I used to go to this, we'd go to the same restaurants, and I'd get basically the same thing at every restaurant. I'd get a barbecue bacon burger, right? The same thing at every restaurant. It was a little different, but it's the same. Because to me, the food was not like an experience. I just wanted to know that it tasted good and that I got the most food possible. Like, I wanted to eat as much food. I wanted to know that I would get like a big serving size and that I would like it. Because if I didn't, I felt like I had gotten ripped off.
36.
Right.
Still same.
But
Same.
It gives me.
But and because I had I didn't want to eat something. I didn't want to put my time or my money or
That's my thing.
or
Money.
lose out on a meal that I'm like, well, that was unsatisfying. But at some point, a switch flipped. I think I went down to the Keys, and this was a big one for me. And Brian was like, "Hey, you got to try this hogfish like taco thing." And I was like, "I'm not a seafood guy. I don't eat seafood." He's like, "You're in the Keys. You got to eat seafood." I was like, "Wow, well, I can just get some whatever." So they got to have something I've eaten. Yeah,
fried chicken. That guy was fried chicken. Everybody got fried chicken.
So I was like, I didn't really want to do it. It was outside of a thing that I wanted to do. But Brian was like, "Look, how often do you get to come down to the Keys and get seafood that's been
every year with you?"
That's been, but it was my first year. So he's like, there's not a whole lot of places where you can get seafood that's literally been pulled out of the ocean less than hours from when you're eating it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you're gonna try seafood, this is the place.
Yeah.
And just try it.
Change
It's
your
good.
life.
It's this, that, and the other. I ate it. It's freaking phenomenal. I was like, okay, well, that was pretty good. I like the fish. Next day, they went to sushi. I was like, okay, hold on, we're going a little deep in the experimental.
In the
And
Bible,
Billy.
in the Bible, Jesus built a fire and cooked the fish. That's why we don't eat sushi.
Yeah, you're missing out.
You are missing out.
So
It's in the
my
Bible.
favorite.
It's in the Bible.
will you
dog.
let me finish my?
Yeah,
I
go
know I'm
ahead.
not going to win you over on the food,
No,
but this
you're
isn't
not.
about you. Okay, this is about the people listening. All right, and maybe someday you'll try something new and you'll be like, oh, that was really good. So, anyways, Billy's like, I looked at Billy because Brian sometimes eats some stuff like he eats freaking cardboard basically. So you're like,
Literally.
you can't really trust what Brian says with food,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's like, oh, this is really good. Well, yeah, anything's good compared to freaking rice cakes,
True
Brian.
story.
So I look at Billy. Billy's like, you got to eat the sushi. It's really good. I'm like, okay, well, if Billy says the sushi's good, like, it's got to be good. Okay, he's not gonna yank my chain on it. So I tried the sushi. Phenomenal. I'm very glad that I tried sushi, and from that point forward, I've tried to, as much as possible, make it a point to try new things, try stuff that I maybe wouldn't before, eat something that I'm unfamiliar with, and understand sometimes that new restaurant, that new food item, that new thing isn't going to be the best. And you're like, I didn't like that thing. But every once in a while you try something and you're like, holy crap, that was delicious. I've never tasted anything like that. I've never gotten to experience a flavor like that. And the only reason you get to do that is because you accepted the fact that well, maybe it'll be good. Maybe it's going to really not be good.
I
And
think
if it's so bad that I can't eat it, I'll get something else. But at least I can say that I've tried it and I don't like it. And then when something comes along that you love, now you know you love that thing. And that's a very cool experience, and you can now integrate that into what you eat.
I think
and
this
I think
is
it's the same thing
Yeah.
with any. You're just dying.
No,
You're just dying over there to tell me I'm not going to eat anything but what I
no,
want.
no, that's not what I'm going to say.
But-
I think this is a great metaphor for Clay.
I think
Not for the food, but for the content.
It gives me
Caleb's like-
me so much
Kale's like,
anxiety.
yeah, I'm not going to listen to anything you say, but Clay, you should.
It gives
I'm
me
not gonna eat new foods, but Clay, you should watch new shows. But I am using all that as a metaphor to say that in order to experience new things and in order to find stuff that is excellent, you have to be willing to expose yourself to things that aren't going to be excellent, because not everything is excellent. That is the definition of excellence. It's apart. It's above from. It's different from everything else. Better than everything else. Not everything can be excellent. Not everybody can be the best player at their sport. Not every movie can be the best movie ever released, right? But
Yeah.
you have to watch all those other movies. You have to go through all those other experiences in order to find one of those things.
Find the gem, find the hidden. So what were you saying, Clay?
I was gonna say it gives me so much anxiety when we go out to eat and Ryro, waitress will come up. Hey, what can I get for you? If you were gonna order a beer, what would you get? And
We
she'll
did
be like,
last
she'll be
night.
like this. Okay, I'll take one of those. And then she'll come back, or he'll come back. What's your favorite thing on the menu? Well, this and this, and it'll be something basic. You'd be like, all right, what's the least ordered thing on the menu? And they'll be like this. They'll be like, yeah, I'll get one of those. I'm like, no, you won't get one of those.
No, I don't ask that. Usually what I ask if I go somewhere, I said, what do I have to get here? Like, what's the thing here?
See, I've never understood that, because it's like, how could you just assume that this total stranger's palate is the same as yours?
I don't.
Like, you go to order and you're
But a
like,
lot of
well,
times-
hey, what do you like? It's
But
like,
this
well,
is
I
what
don't even know
happens.
you.
This is what happens. A lot of times you say, hey, okay, so what do I got to get here? Right? And they're like, well, this is really popular. Okay, so a lot of people like that thing. Or I really like X, Y, and Z. You get a couple of choices there. You might get something that they really like, and you might be like, oh, that sounds good. Or this thing is really popular. Well, a lot of people have ordered it. It must be good.
I've never done that.
Or
Not
you say,
happened.
maybe you got a couple choices, right? You got,
That's
I
not
found
what-
this, this, and this. And you go, all right, I'm in between this one, and this one. What do you think? And they'll say, I think you should do that one.
Have you ever noticed when they give you the recommendations, it's generally the three most
Expensive.
expensive things
Yep.
on the menu?
Well, generally when we do that, we're on work trips with your American Express.
But that's what I'm saying is like they're just recommending what they're going to get the most
that
tip off of.
68-ounce ribeye is to die for.
Yeah, that tomahawk that we just flew in from Lanai off of the Axis deer that John Dudley just killed. That's what you should eat. It's like,
But
All
that would be a really good. That would be a really good thing.
I'll take
that.
I'll take a side Caesar instead.
yeah.
But
so,
but also the cheapest thing is like chicken tenders. Okay,
always
So
good.
You ever
They
had
are
bad
always
chicken
good.
tenders?
I have actually. I had some that were kind of slimy on the inside one time.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was bad.
make you crap like a crippled coon.
I don't remember what my bowel movements
I
were
had
after the
I
fact.
had some bad chicken one time. Ooh wee, it was bad.
Almost like worse than bad lasagna or
Yeah,
bad
freaking
Italian.
Oh,
Italian.
there's nothing worse. Absolutely nothing worse than bad Italian. It's
I don't know,
totally
man.
disgusting.
I don't know. I've
I
had
don't
some.
know.
No, there's nothing worse.
I've had some.
lentil soups up there. Lentil soup.
I
pretty
like the
bad.
lentils.
Oh.
I like the lentils.
Oh God, I won't
Terrible.
even look at it.
All right, so where are we
Moral
at?
of the story is, go try new things.
Yeah.
Go watch.
Clay.
Go watch new stuff.
Clay.
Go talk to new people. Go listen to new music.
You know, I'm not gonna come on here and constantly get attacked.
Well, when you change, we'll stop attacking you. When you come back and you say, you know what, I watched this series and it was actually pretty good, or I watched this series and it was terrible.
I do
I don't
watch.
care which
I
one-
watch series. I'm watching the golf one.
Clay.
Oh, the Live one or whatever on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Live one?
So,
no.
hold on.
no.
But
Hold
it
on.
is, that is a good one. I did watch that.
The
But
behind the
I
scenes
watched
one.
it because I know nothing about golf, and I was like, oh,
I
I'll
watched
learn a little bit
I
about
watched
golf.
the Formula One behind the scenes one too.
All right. I want you to watch a drama. Anything. I don't care what it is.
There's
a
not drama in those series.
No, there's not. Joe, so Joe, what do you
Clay's like,
watch? So
Sports is the ultimate human
we
drama.
Know, we know Clay is like he's so basic with what he watches. Me and Rye are a little more eclectic. What do you?
Caleb, I'm not letting you put yourself in my category of eclecticism. That's
Ryer's
not.
eclectic. I'm even more special than he is. So We're
Caleb,
no longer in
you're-
the same category. Right.
I don't think that
Oh,
you're that
I
much less
watched-
basic than Clay.
I've watched the. I'm gonna get so much crap for this. I watched the ESPN has like the electrician like games and plumbing games. Or, like, I do watch that. I think that's satisfying.
Joe, so what do you watch?
If I'm gonna watch something, it's usually like a drama. It's like like Breaking Bad. I think is probably the best of all time.
I used to
Best
watch
of all
Big
time?
Yeah,
Bang
we've
Theory.
had this talk. It's the best.
The Big
Have
Bang
you
Theory
watched
is like-
anything else though? Like, give me some
Yeah.
other things that you've watched, because I need to know
Um,
what you're comparing it against.
God, I've watched a lot. I mean, it's hard to remember.
Big Bang Theory is good.
No,
Well, Clay came in here and lied about the things he'd watched, so I just want to make sure you're not lying. So tell me some other things that you've watched. Clay come in here bold-faced lied that he had seen all these movies, and he just lied.
well, first of all, Fast and the Furious, but
Never
new one
seen
coming
any-
out. I'm
never
gonna go see
seen
it in
any
theater.
Did you see how much money it's making already?
Probably a
Oh,
ton.
I heard it was
Gosh.
horrible.
They're all horrible.
No, they're
all
not.
the
They
exact
are
same
absolutely
thing.
not horrible.
Oh my God.
No,
They're
but I've
so
seen
far
where
The
Fat-
first one was good. And
Here,
then after
what-
that,
like-
you're like, okay.
What's some good TV series? I'll tell you if I've
Big
seen
Bang
it.
Theory,
No.
Justified.
Yes.
You've watched Justified.
Watched it.
Newsroom.
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
I've watched most of
Game
it.
of Thrones.
Yellowstone.
Never watched Game of Thrones.
Mr. Robot.
Nope.
So you've seen two things.
Yellowstone's
No,
good.
no, no.
1883 was good, or is good.
It is.
I'm trying to think of some big ones that I've watched.
What the hell?
I have like this habit where I can't remember what I've
Yeah,
watched.
I
Like
have
I'll
the
look
same
at the
thing.
thumbnail, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've watched. That was good."
Caddyshack.
Yeah, I've seen Caddyshack.
Did you see?
I mean, Caddyshack is good.
Austin
Did you watch?
Powers.
Did you watch? Come on.
The Call? Yeah, I watched The Call.
No.
I feel like this is delving into like
Mindhunter.
Part of it.
this is delving
Yes,
into
yeah. I think I
Oh,
have.
my
I have.
gosh.
I have.
Joe,
So
where
good.
do you get your inspiration? What
So-
inspires you? Because this is just delving into the
Well-
like
Well,
talking about
I
series
need
like
to
we
know.
do every time.
I need to know what he's seen to
well,
know that
let's
he's.
talk about that at pizza.
Yeah,
tonight.
we'll get on that. Yeah,
I want to
we're
know
gonna
what
do
inspires
pizza at the
Joe because then we
Airbnb.
got to get to Clay.
No, so what? I have like a.
You know my answer.
I have a more unique way. Like I get inspired by people like that I don't want to be.
Yes, that's
that makes sense.
exactly
So,
where I
like-
was going.
So like I'll see people like
Explain this because I'm lost.
like
You know
I s-
what? I get it though.
Like I
Go
see.
on, but then I'm
Yeah.
gonna tap into that.
So like
Yeah.
I see things that like, and I get inspired by people, not necessarily the work that they put out. So one, I get inspired by people that are better than me or that I think are better than
Oh
me.
yeah, well everything I
So-
watch is better than what I did.
But I get inspired like I
he
see
watches
something.
a lot of my stuff.
I see something that like somebody puts out, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Like what?
Like anything, you know, like a video
Can you give
or
us a
a
specific
series.
name and YouTube title?
Well, I just
Yeah.
I just need to. I need some context.
So what? Here's what Joe's saying. Because correct
Can
me
we
if I'm wrong.
let Joe say what Joe's saying?
You just interrupted him.
I was asking a question. You're gonna put words in his mouth.
You
Like,
do
can you,
say
like, do you have
hijacking, I
any?
ain't gonna
Do you
lie.
have any like examples of something you've watched and you're like, I like that, but I don't like that? Because that's what.
Well,
that's
okay,
what I'm
so-
hearing. I like it, but I don't like it.
No,
You
I'm
like
saying
the story
I
behind it. You don't like the way it
No,
was
no, no,
done.
I
I don't
think-
like the way it was done. Like I watched a film from not a film, but a hunting brand company, large brand. In my opinion, it should have been a lot better than it was. They were missing parts.
Like
they
all of
weren't
them.
transitioning.
I would have done
all
it
of
different.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
would have done it different. And like that's where like my inspiration comes from. I watch that kind of stuff. I go, okay, in my mind, mentally, I'm like, how do we make that better
Okay.
when we're going out
All
to
right,
shoot
I'm
it?
picking up
Because
what you're putting down.
like I don't want it to look like that. Like I don't want the guy to be riding in a boat and the next thing you know, like he's on the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Like how did we get to this point?
Yeah, that's
Well,
a hell
Noah
of a
would have
boat.
some things to
That's
say
a hell
about
of a
that.
boat. Huh? Ranella?
Noah.
I thought you said
Oh,
Ranella.
Noah.
Yeah,
and
Noah.
his
Yeah.
art.
Thought you said Ranella. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm going the same way with that.
Yeah, like I see a lot of stuff that I like. Like I put more stock in the people that are behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me here, like I get inspiration from all three of you, because
Oh,
you know,
that's
like
nice.
yeah,
Caleb's like, all right, send the
Dude,
direct
payday's not for another 6 days.
yeah, right.
He's just getting that in there.
No, but like you
Where's
know,
that at? 101 on. All right, go ahead.
but like I get more inspired by like people's thoughts about things than I do maybe what they put out. Like I put more stock in that. Like guys like Ryer, when they're talking about how they're thinking about things and the psychology behind it, more than I do when I just watch something.
You just think especially in the last 6, 7, 8 years, I think about things deeper than I used to.
I for sure
that
do.
was beautiful, but okay, that's it. It was pretty. Why?
Right.
Why was that this actress crushed it, or this scene really made me feel this way? Well, why did it make me feel this way? And that's what I get out of it, is like trying to find the nuance and trying to find the differentiation, and how can I take that and apply it to what we're doing? Because it rarely happens for us. Most of the things we do are pretty down the middle. There's not a whole lot of emotion or quote unquote storytelling. So we try and shoehorn in a story every chance we get, and turns out most clients don't want any story. They just want their video.
Yeah, Ryer and I have talked. We're just assembling footage sometimes.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. It really is. But I think it makes me appreciate the times that we get to do things like the call and the things that we get to do like Blue Stem and some of the other pieces that we've done. It makes me appreciate those even more, because now it's like, okay, you're essentially giving us free reign of the creative. It's like, okay, I've got this list on my phone of all these things I wanted to do. How do we do them? And then how do we crush them, and how do we crush people's souls? Because at the end of the day, that's really what we're wanting to do.
I think to circle back with what Joe was saying is he gets inspiration from seeing things that suck. I definitely I get what he's saying there, because I will see stuff and I'll have all these thoughts about what I did not like about that thing. And then I'll go, that'll motivate me to go, how can I make sure that when I make something there's not somebody who can have these thoughts that I'm having about this thing, about the thing that I've created, or how can I make sure that I don't, some people have a certain reputation. How do I make sure that people don't say those things about me? Right,
exactly.
And then you hear, but also on the flip side, you hear people say these certain things about a person. You're like, man, I would like for people to talk about me that way. What do I have to do to get people to talk about me in that way? So I think it goes both ways, but I definitely get it. There's a driving force. Sometimes you see something and you're like, how do I make sure? And I think I heard a quote when I was younger is obviously history books are written from the perspective of the winners, and most books are written by people who have succeeded in some sort of way, right? It would be interesting to hear from the people who have been complete and total failures, to know what not to do.
Yeah.
Don't do that thing.
I learned, yeah.
There's just, or
the problem is I don't know if some of them know,
I
they
agree.
know that they failed, but
you can learn.
You have a
from
conversation, and it's just you're just not getting
in the words of Bill Engvall, you can't fix stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
You just can't.
But you can learn as much from somebody who's been a complete and total failure as you can somebody who's been a astounding success.
Oh yeah.
I
think you can. In my opinion, in terms of my learning curve in business and in life, I've learned more from people who have failed in areas than I have from the successful parts. The successful parts that we've done is because of all the things that I learned what not to do. And now I'm just trying to build on that in my own little meek way. And I think that's the differentiation. I think that's how, I approach this from okay, I learned not to do this thing, and this thing. So when we get Copeland Creative going, let's not do those things and see how it goes. And so far, it's going well. Oh, speaking of art forms, this desk is art.
It is art.
100%.
Correct.
Still smells good, by the way. I scratch the bottom so I can.
Little scratch and stuff.
I like it. All right.
Clay, where do you get inspiration?
Well, yes, I do get inspiration.
God, I wish you were looking
All
right at
right,
the camera
that's
for that.
the end of the podcast. All right.
Now that everybody...
Clay was hoping. He was over here thinking you were wrapping it up. He was all smiling. I said, Clay, where do you
No. Now that everybody's got to say their two cents for an hour and 5 minutes, I now have to come up with something new to say because the other four people have talked of forever. But yes, I do watch YouTube a lot, and a lot of it happens to be fishing and golf. But it's not, Bob and his uncle playing golf with a GoPro for 5 hours. It's actual, documentary pieces that happen to be from the golf or the fishing industry, because the golf and the fishing industry will actually spend money on those pieces. And I
This
get
is true.
I get my inspiration from that. Was really cool. How can we find a person like that or a story like that and relate it back to the hunting industry?
Why don't you go do something for golf? Cool with that. I mean, y'all are going to ICAST. I mean, you got any golf stuff? No? Well,
No,
bummer.
I have negative golf things.
Okay. Yeah. The Wire is one of the best shows I've seen. An oldie, but it's done brilliantly. Haven't seen The Wire. Might check that out.
Every time I say it, Caleb's like, "Oh my god!" It's like, you haven't seen that? Like, I haven't seen all of them.
All right. Well, we've been talking for an hour and 6 minutes. I think that's about it. Good to go? Because I hear my kids down there, so there's
Mine are
there's
down
gonna
there,
be
too.
there's gonna be a heathen up here any minute.
They're getting spray tans.
Oh man. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace.